Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of Right Down the Street. My name is Brian Barnett. I'm the mayor of the city of Rochester Hills and your host for this podcast. Right Down the Street, as you know, many of our loyal subscribers, viewers, and listeners know, is a wonderful opportunity to meet and hear the successes and stories of the people who are making a difference right down the street here in our community in the greater Rochester Hills area. And today we are thrilled to have another exciting interview with another person doing just that, making a difference right here in our community. Now, we want to thank you and encourage you to spread the good word about Right Down the Street. As you know, we've done some pretty cool interviews here. Hopefully you continue to find this interesting. We know that across the nation, we are in the top 25% of all podcasts listened to, according to Buzzsprout. So thank you for your loyalty, and we'll continue to try to bring you exciting guests like the one you are about to meet right now. One of the great things about our community is some of the incredible organizations that are here. And today we're going to learn a little bit more about Leader Dogs for the Blind from their CEO. Let me introduce you to Mellssa Weisse. She is the president and CEO of Leader Dogs for the Blind. Now, if you're not from around here, this will be new information, but everyone around here knows the incredible work that you do and that your organization does. But Leader Dogs empowers people who are blind or visually impaired with the skills and tools they need to safely navigate and travel independently. You have a wonderful story, a beautiful facility, and we are thrilled that you are here. Welcome, Mellssa.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, Brian. I'm so pleased to be here.
Well, we're going to learn more about Leader Dogs as an organization, but we first want to learn about you. You're new to the CEO role, but not to the organization.
Correct.
Been at the organization a long time.
I have.
New to the CEO role, but even in your short intro, I sense a little bit of an accent. So tell us about where you're from and how did you end up here in Rochester Hills?
Thank you. Good question. Good question. Actually, I was not raised in the United States.
Shocker.
I'm originally from New York, but I was raised in Southeast Asia, in Japan, and North Africa.
Oh, really?
So I didn't live in the United States until I came here to work at Leader Dogs. So life conspires to bring you where you're supposed to be. It's been such a journey.
And obviously you found Leader Dogs about, 20 years ago?
I've been here 20 years.
What attracted you to that organization?
So I was working at Christie's in London, and I knew I was meeting a lot of humanitarians, a lot of people who were doing work with social impact. And Christie's in London actually told me, why don't you volunteer? So I came to Leader Dog as a volunteer in the Canine Center. Ultimately became a puppy raiser and worked my way up to be president and CEO. I was really drawn to what is a global mission, a very personal local mission right here in Rochester Hills, but a global one. That's kept me here.
And you talked a little bit about sort of your global path. Christie's is a pretty interesting organization,
Yes.
and not a lot of people know about what they do. What was your job there? What was your role?
So at Christie's, I did my graduate work in the UK. So I worked for private client services at Christie's, which was really helping high net worth individuals create their art collections. So I would bid in those auctions you see.
That's why we've never met.
Yes.
I'm not in that circle, but yes, that sounds interesting.
It was fascinating. And that work, and I think as well as my upbringing, really helped me for the job I do today, working with many different kinds of people in many different countries across the United States, many different kinds of donors and supporters, really helped my path.
Is art a passion for you?
It is a passion for me. So I'm loving the Detroit Institute of Art's Inside Out program in our community. I love spotting those paintings.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite genre, artist, period? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I grew up in Japan. I spent a lot of my formative years in Japan. So I love ukiyo-e. It is a woodblock print. I love that and always have a passion for it. So that's something I look for.
I just returned on a mayoral trip from Florence and had the opportunity to visit a couple museums and there see Michelangelo and Raphael and Donatello. I say all the Ninja Turtles, but they were all the incredible masters, and there's just so much of it there. You're sort of spoiled, I think. If you get a chance to visit Florence, the art is exceptional.
Absolutely. And I think exposure to art and the critique around art, and now coming from that very visual atmosphere to the non-visual work I do at Leader Dog has really helped me think about the way I speak, the way I describe things, the way I articulate things to a visually impaired audience. It's something we're always trying to be better at in terms of accessibility. And we partner with other organizations to help them understand that as well.
Sure. Now, obviously, you've fallen in love with this organization because you've given 20 years of your life, and now certainly as the leader. To someone who might not be familiar with leader dogs, in a snippet, what is your purpose and passion?
The purpose and passion of leader dogs is to help people create and have pathways to greater independence. There are so many barriers for people who are visually impaired. State services, federal services across the United States and globally are limited. And there's very few people that are guide dog mobility instructors or orientation and mobility specialists. So it's incumbent upon us to reach those people, provide those services.
Yeah. Now, we're going to task you with this because creating this visual for us without us being able to see, but many people might be familiar with Leader Dogs for the Blind, but they might not be familiar with your campus.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about the work that you do on that campus. Kind of walk us through the different areas and the different aspects of, I mean, you have a big place, you got a lot of space, you have a big building. What goes on there?
Correct. So it is a very large building, and I've recently been looking at historic pictures of it, which is fascinating to see the intersection of Rochester and Avon so many years ago. And it's what was a small farmhouse in 1939 has grown to be one of the largest blindness-related organizations in the world. So right at that facility, we have 190 employees working in 200,000 square feet of office space, 4 acres of property. It's significant. And we have clients coming in from all around the world and all around the country. I just left. We have clients from Mexico as I departed the office this afternoon, as well as our youth O&M program with clients and their supporters from all across the country.
And to talk about kind of maybe the stars of the show, which are probably both the staff and trainers and your team, but also the puppies.
Correct.
You got a lot of puppies there too, right?
We have a lot of puppies and puppy raisers who help us do the work like your team does here. And thank you for that. That corporate puppy raising, when an organization can come together and collectively do good and then pass that along to a visually impaired person that needs that independence so much, those dogs provide that.
Sure. And if we were to go, you said you just came from your campus, but right there you have, if you were to go back today, how many dogs, how many puppies do you have? And tell us a little bit about people. I think people find it interesting. Is there one breed, a couple breeds? What are most of the dogs that you use that actually turn out to be the best when paired with a client?
That's an interesting question. The work started with German Shepherds, but that has evolved over time. What was once military service dog handlers now are service guide dog mobility instructors work with Labrador retrievers and golden retrievers and crosses of those two breeds. They're very biddable, very eager to work with human partners, and also the grooming is not very costly for somebody who is visually impaired. We're looking at people who are often or underemployed, who don't have access to all the opportunity because of the limitations of mobility options. So we need a dog that's going to provide that service, but not have that costly grooming associated with it.
If sometimes you don't think about those things, it makes a lot of sense when you say it.
Yes.
When you, if someone was listening to this and going, man, I know someone, or I didn't know this was available, how do they get into the track to find out more information, to find out if they qualify? Is this something that, are any of the costs potentially covered? Or, I mean, I know we'll talk about your fundraising in a minute because you have a very impressive story
Thank
there,
you.
but how does that work for someone who wants to get more information?
So thank you for that question, Brian, because we are always trying to reach more people. I'm sure there are people listening to this who know somebody that may need this service, and our services are free of charge to all recipients. They are covered by the kindness of all kinds of incredible donors. And I want to say, Brian, just yesterday, we introduced on all of our platforms that we are now offering our services in both Spanish and English to U.S. and Canadian-based clients, in addition to our international service provision.
Yeah, that's a remarkable statement to make, and I'm sure is a massive breath of relief to many of the folks that need the
Absolutely. Absolutely. Incidents of blindness are rising, whether it's diabetic-related blindness, whether it's the blindness of maturity and people who are aging. And we need to make sure we're there to support those individuals.
you can't do that without money.
Absolutely right.
And you have an impressive
Thank you.
recognition. I think that you've raised over $150 million over your 20-year time at Leader
Yes.
Dogs. You're a professional fundraiser. You're one of, this is cool, one of 117 people on the planet to hold the designation of ACFRE. First of all,
Yes.
what does that mean? And how cool is that club?
Oh, well, thank you. It's Advanced Certified Fundraising Executive. And I really was a passion of mine to achieve that. I really, as you said earlier, want the best for Leader Dog and want to be able to tell our story and advocate for our clients and our donors. So that's credential helped me in doing that.
Yeah. That I'm surprised that you haven't asked me for money yet. That's pretty impressive. I've escaped. We've been 8 minutes in and I've escaped. One of the things that I find remarkable about my job, having done it for a while too, is I never realized how much fundraising
Absolutely.
I would have to do. No one ever tells
Absolutely.
you how
Yeah.
much you're going to have to raise money.
Yes.
And you realize if you really want to do, at least in my job, the fun stuff, the stuff that
Yes.
tax dollars can't support, you often have to raise
Yes.
money for that. And it's a bit of an acquired taste. You have to be
You
a little
do.
bit brave and confident in what you're pitching and what you're trying to raise money for. But to raise $150 million is exceptional. Is there a funny donor story? I mean, without giving
Well,
any names along the line that you go, oh gosh, yeah.
It's an interesting piece of the work that, to your point, is so important. And not everyone appreciates the fact that donors are volunteers. It's a volunteer activity, donating. So once you respect that with a donor and know that, like other forms of volunteerism, giving funds is a voluntary act, and we have to respect that and really speak to people and understand their objectives in their philanthropy. So over time, I think more than funny stories, it's been the joyful stories of seeing people connected with something they're passionate about. I mean, I get to see the good in the world, that people want to extend themselves to help people they might never meet.
Yeah.
So
$150 million is no small feat, and I think it's a jaw-dropping number. There is one strong advantage you have, and that is the stinking cuteness of a puppy.
correct.
Which is a really enviable advantage
Yes.
when
People
you're going
love
up
that.
against maybe another national organization to
Yes.
raise money for a disease or a
People
condition or
appreciate the
something.
dogs. They relate to that. They connect to it. And I think it's interesting because actually we serve more people with our orientation and mobility program, which is white cane training, over 200 people in that program. And many of those people may go to get a guide dog or may not.
Yeah.
But our goal is that you achieve the guide dog mobility service, the orientation and mobility service that best suits your life.
And you have used it to have some really creative fundraising.
We have.
Including this just recently. You've
Bark
had a
and
couple
Brew
of
this
but
past weekend.
Talk about some of the unique ways that you raise that money.
So we have, clearly, as you know, and many people in our community know, we were founded by Lions.
Mm-hmm.
So Lions clubs across the country, right here in Rochester Hills, are such a part of our work and our mission. They are diplomats for Leader Dog globally, which has been impressive. We have our Dinner in the Dark, a huge event under blindfold for 600 plus people. We just had our Bark and Brew event. But what I like best, Brian, are the small events on the Leader Dog campus, like we had a couple of weekends ago, just a few donors, blindfold walk experience, showing them our residence facility and having a client speak about their lived experience. Those intimate moments when you see people say, this is where I need to support, this is what I need to do. I love those moments.
Yeah, I've been a part of a few of those presentations where you've had a client just tell the story.
Yeah.
And there is nothing more powerful than the person there sharing how their life has changed and been impacted positively by the work of your organization.
You are absolutely right, Brian, because we are a human service organization and one of the largest ones of its kind in the world. We just recently had 5 countries visit us for a global conference on animal behavior, dog behavior. What are the best new practices? How can we be at the vanguard of that? And I think for us as an organization, born right here in Rochester Hills, that we represent our community globally.
Sure.
I think it's a really actually fun part of our community that our dogs, our clients go all over the world.
Well, you do put us on the map. In fact, when we had when I hosted the U.S. Conference of Mayors here a few years ago, we had all the mayors around the country.
Yes.
We brought in some dogs.
I remember that.
And blindfolded some of the mayors and
Yes.
had them walk around and experience.
Thank you.
Some of the training that's available and just kind of experience it.
Thank you for that opportunity.
Well, of course, and like I said, we're proud of the relationship. You talk about the organization's been around since the 30s,
1939.
Right? And a lot has changed, but maybe talk about what technologies that are out there now that maybe can help the visually impaired community.
Right.
Have you seen are there some things that are out there now that weren't out here 10 years ago? Are there some technologies coming in the near future that you're excited about?
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
It's a great question. Assistive technology is evolving and developing continually for people who are visually impaired. And we stay at the forefront of that. We often beta test projects. Entrepreneurs will contact us and say, will you test this out with your guide dog mobility instructors? So we'll see things like apps that will help people understand or read the environment for an individual, just helping you navigate with your dog that much more. There are glasses that can actually connect you with an operator that will help you describe your community, describe your surroundings to you. So we try to stay abreast of that so that we can help incorporate that into work with a guide dog or a cane. Those are exciting evolutions to come of our service provision.
Yeah. When a client comes to you, about how long are they on your campus to get both training either with a dog and animal or some of this other training with technology and so forth? Is there a standard time or is just everyone's different?
It depends. We have a summer camp that is a week that is transformative. Our campus is a wild place when all of these young people are here. So that's 1 week. Our orientation and mobility, white cane clients, they're here for 1 week of an immersive experience that's not really available anyplace else. And our guide dog mobility clients are here for 3 weeks. Or equally at times, Brian, we will deliver dogs and bring them out to clients all over the United States.
What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about the visually impaired?
I think the biggest misconception is that when someone loses their sight, they are then not able to be employed. And that creates so many barriers. Barriers to community. You have a employable workforce there that's skilled and talented, but there's so much bias. And we're trying continually to advocate against that and say, with your dog, with your cane, you can access employment. And we have a strong voice in that globally. I sit on the board of the American Foundation for the Blind, and I'm very proud every day that we represent greater inclusion for this community.
One of the things that's a great answer. One of the things that we're always talking about in this podcast is about leaders. We're generally always talking about folks that have somehow led, whether it be in athletics or in the business community. Obviously, you leading in the nonprofit world. You've just taken over an organization that has a long history of long tenured leaders.
Yes.
How do you put your own stamp on it?
I think exactly what we were just speaking about. We're currently surveying all of our clients, all of our active clients and professionals to say what's next, what's relevant for you as a client in 2024 and beyond. And that could be assistive technology added into our workplace. We're at the point where we are needing to renovate our residence facility. It's been 20 years since we last did it. Our $14.5 million Canine Center campaign was a decade ago.
Wow.
So now our residents needs to mirror the experiences of the clients of today. And how do we integrate that with technology? How do we bring on our next line of service provision to complement the cane and the dog? And that's what I'm excited about in my tenure as CEO.
That's great. Obviously, to have the success that you've had and to go from the very interesting start of your career living globally to being involved with art to being involved with dogs to some extent, there have to be some people that you've looked up to that have influenced you in terms of kind of creating the person you are, the leadership talents or traits that you have. Who are some of those folks?
I think that's such an interesting question. And I will say, coming from Christie's, where I had amazing leadership to look up to, I have been very impacted by the Lions Club members that I have met. They are selfless leaders in the community. They don't ask for much recognition. They're just out there. I'm sure you've all seen them. People listening to this have seen Lions, whether it's at a pancake breakfast or with white cane donations. It's such a quiet force for good globally, whether it's an international episode or something here in the U.S., lions are there right away to help people. I really look up to that. It's inspired my career.
Yeah, that is a great answer. And in my role, there's always organizations, the Rotary, Kiwanis.
Yeah.
The Lions have been singularly focused and effective.
Very much so.
In their mission.
Yes.
And for us around here, unfortunately, with 1 year absent, the carnival is a huge
typically the carnival,
a huge
exactly.
part of it. But they're familiar with the other ways in which Lions engage our community.
Absolutely.
The different programs, the car shows, and all the ways in which they raise money. When you're giving to the Lions Club, you really are giving to Leader Dogs.
Yes, and the many other wonderful work that they support. They have other priorities. Vision is the one they're most known for, and they have made seismic change in this area. I really applaud them for that. Their mantra is "We serve," and they do serve. Yeah.
Well, we always end every show with the same question, and you don't know what it is, so it's a random answer just off the top of your
Brian.
head. But it's a two-parter.
A two-parter, my
Mellssa.
goodness.
And so the question is this: if you could have dinner with any individual, alive or past, 2 parts, who would it be and where would you take them?
What an amazing question. I love that question. So I would say, given the work that I am doing now and the advocacy in this space, I would love to have met Helen Keller. I would love to have met her and really been able to understand, because she was a very early advocate in this space and transformed our work. Where would I take her? I love Japanese food, so I think Helen Keller and a Japanese dinner would be brilliant.
Well, I can tell you that we have never had that answer, either part, and it's wonderfully personal, and I love it, and I think it's fantastic. Listen, Mellssa, thank you for all the work that you do. As a parting shot, if someone wanted to get more information or get more involved or especially donate, what would they do? How would they get that information? How would they get involved?
Thank you. Always come to leaderdog.org, our website. Visit our social media site. You can even follow our 2 Canine Center cats there. And you can
We do not promote cats on this program, just so you know. We're only dogs.
We have dogs and cats there. Follow our social media. Go to leaderdog.org, and you'll find many ways that you can be a part of our mission or volunteer. And Brian, I appreciate personally your support for Leader Dog over all these years. You have been a steadfast friend of this mission and people who are blind.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you. And we believe it here. We've raised dogs in the building, in City Hall.
Thank you.
You saw my dog here.
Yes,
not
I did,
a leader dog, more of a career change dog, probably.
I love that.
But we even have a pretty cool corporate puppy raising program that we've done here through Pamela Valentek and our leadership team.
We appreciate that support.
We are proud to be associated with your organization. Excited about your role here. Excited to support you, and really proud to have Leader Dogs for the Blind in the city of Rochester Hills. Thanks for being on the program.
Thank you, Brian.
We are always excited to bring you fun stories, and again, a chance to get to hear Mellissa's heart and her background story and learn more about what Leader Dogs is doing in our community is something you will never regret anytime you spend learning more about this incredible organization. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Right Down the Street. If you get a chance, give us a like or a follow. Tell someone you know, because we love telling the stories of what makes our community so special. Until our next show, we'll see you real soon, and God bless.